Hello everyone, today we're going to be talking about the best booming civs in Age of Empires 2, the Definitive Edition, including the brand new civs from the Lords of the West DLC. So first off, we're going to talk about why I'm doing this video. I think in a majority of games I've always boomed. It's something that I'm comfortable with. It's something that I know I'm personally good at. So this video is a lot about my personal experiences, so it's going to be objective and subjective. We're going to be taking a look at what makes a good booming civ, in which case it boils down to eco bonuses, whether a civ has them and how good they are in relative terms to other civs. So we're going to get this world started, get the show on the road, I mean, and we're going to be starting. I'm going to try to do them alphabetically for consistency. So first off, let's take a look. We have Aztecs. Aztecs have traditionally been one of the best booming civs due to their civ bonus. Let me just pull that up here. So Aztecs used to be one of the premier booming civs because their villager carry rate used to be +5 actually, and they used to get loom for free. That meant they had a villager lead at pretty much all stages of the game, and also they had basically a better version of a wheelbarrow right when the game starts. Fortunately, this has been nerfed quite a few times. Now they only carry +3, and they don't get free loom anymore. They just start with 50 gold, which doesn't do much. I mean, you probably can, you can do a better drush, I suppose, but it's not as good as before. So for Aztecs, unfortunately, I would have put them in A tier if it were back in 1.0C of the Age of Conquerors expansion. Right now, I'd have to put them in B tier for now, just because I think there are better civs in them. Berbers. Okay, Berbers is not a booming civ, in my opinion. Let's pull up their... this is Camel Archer. So, Berbers, their villagers move faster, which seems good, but in reality, it only slightly increases productivity. It's like half the effect of wheelbarrow. Wheelbarrow also increases villager move speed, but also increases villager carry. So for Berbers, I am going to put them in C tier. And they are decent, but they are not that good. I think they're much better civs than Berbers. For Britons, I've always traditionally had a great boom with Britons because of their, let's pull up their stats here. So Briton bonuses, of course, you have the shepherds work 25% faster. That means you're 1 villager ahead when gathering sheep. You only need 5 on sheep as opposed to 6. That means you're quicker to chop wood. It all really adds up. You're also able to build much more farms in Dark Age and Feudal Age because of this bonus. Town centers cost 50% less wood. It ends up saving you a lot of wood over Castle Age. So think about it this way: you're saving about 135, 140 wood per town center. Multiply that by 3, you're saving about just over 500 wood in Castle Age. It's not as good as some other bonuses, but trust me, if you get those town centers up and get them working with the extra farms that you made in Feudal Age, it will increase your productivity and overall your boom. And for that reason, I'm going to put them in S tier. I think they could be A tier, they could be S tier, but in my opinion, I've always had a good boom with Britons. I'm going to put them S tier. Okay, for Bulgarians, so let's pull up Bulgarians, Draconic. I think this civ is pretty lackluster in terms of booming. Just because they're 1 eco bonus, and it's a really weak one at that, is town centers cost 50% less stone, which is already a gimped version of what makes Britain so good. That stone, it does help when you're trying to forward create post drop, but in this context, we're just talking about booming. So for that reason, I'm going to give them an F. It is actually not very useful. You save maybe 160, 170 stone from not having to buy stone at the market if you're doing a 4 town center boom, but it really doesn't matter at that stage of the game. Next civ, Burgundians. Burgundians, I have only used them a couple of times. They felt okay to use, and I'm going to pull them up. Burgundian. So Their eco bonus is economic upgrades are available 1 age earlier, which sounds good, but do you really have the resources to be researching bow salt and feudal age? If you do, that's good. But if you're booming, you literally just want to get to the next age as soon as possible, drop those town centers. And in Castle Age, you're able to research two-man saw and crop rotation. But in my personal opinion, those are some of the least efficient technologies in the game. For the resources that you're spending, that 10% extra wood chopping speed probably isn't worth it. I know in El Clan Chris's book, he mentions that it's not very efficient, considering that, let's say, the 300 food cost, that's equivalent to 6 villagers. Are you really willing to spend 6 villagers worth of resources for an extra 10% wood chopping speed bonus? Probably not, right? So for that reason, I am going to put Burgundians in D tier. They do have this other bonus, which is convert all food into gold. Not that part, but farms solely generate gold in addition to food. Chances are you probably won't want to use this in early Castle Age. When you're booming, you'll want to stock up on food, so it doesn't really help here. The next civ we have are Burmese. See a Rambai. Let's take a look. A Rambai or Burmese is they're a very unique civ in that they get their wood technologies completely free of cost. They do have access to all of them, and everyone knows how important the wood chopping technologies are for a good boom. If you don't have it, you're going to lack the wood to build farms. You're also going to lack food because you don't have enough farms. It's a vicious cycle. I think this bonus is incredibly underrated. It does save you a decent amount of resources, but it doesn't kick in until the feudal age. Burmese, I usually do not boom with them because of how strong the Rambai are in the mid game. But when I have boomed with them, they felt okay, they felt decent. For that reason, I'm going to put them in C tier, which is just slightly, below average. Or just average if you, depending on how you look at it. Next civ is the Cataphract or Byzantines. Now, everyone knows that Byzantines advances to the next age, to Imperial Age, much cheaper than everyone else. It's to this bonus. However, when we're talking about booming, it doesn't help you boom. Like, yeah, sure, it's cheaper to advance. You could get, the technologies after that earlier, but as I said earlier as well with Burgundians, you're probably not going to want to get two-man saw immediately as soon as you reach the Imperial Age, or crop rotation for that matter, which they do have access to. And the lack of all other eco bonuses, fortunately, I'm going to have to put Byzantines in F tier because of how horrible they are to boom with. Celts. Celts or Celts, as I used to say. World Raider. Let's take a look at their bonuses. This one is the big one. Lumberjacks work 15% faster. That means effectively they work faster than any other civilization in the game. And wood, as I mentioned, is incredibly important because you're able to build more farms. You're able to expand out more. Wood chopping is the foundation of any good boom. So I've always had good booms with Celts. I am going to put them in A tier. I'm that confident that this is one of the best bonuses in the game, better than the Burmese bonus, because you're able to access it immediately at the start of the game, from minute 0 to minute however when the game ends. It's just that good of a bonus. Now, Chinese. Chinese is a unique case. Everyone knows that they start with 3 extra villagers, but with 200 less food and 50 less wood. And they also have much cheaper technologies, which also applies to eco techs such as bow saw, handcart, gold mining, all those techs included. I think Chinese is incredibly underrated. I know they're quite difficult to play because not everyone knows how to. They do require extra attention to force drop when needed, but they are very strong. I've always had good booms with Chinese when I had a good start, but that's contingent on having a good start. Let's assume perfect scenario, you're able to have 0 downtime. You're usually about 1 to 2 villagers ahead of everyone else. That means you're going to have a good boom. For that reason, I am putting them in A tier. If you don't have a good start with them, I would probably drop them down to B tier or C tier. Also, their team bonus, farms start with plus 45 food. That is incredibly helpful as well. It delays the need to reseed them, which does add up over time. Now, the next civ, Cumans. Cumans is very special, being that you don't usually fast castle with them. You want to fast feudal up with 19 or 20 pop, get that second town center down ASAP, and do a mini feudal boom, and then drop additional town centers when you do click up to castle age. If you do that, I would say they are among one of the best booming civs. I would even put them in S tier actually, just because of how strong that feudal town center is. You're able to get up a much quicker population than anyone else due to their feudal boom. You're able to have a glut of resources when you actually go to the castle age, first move boom, and they just feel incredible to play once you get that boom going. I don't think I need to explain why that second town center is so important, because the whole point of booming is to get up extra town centers, and being able to get an extra town center at about 12-13 minutes in the game, that's just incredible to me. Ethiopians. So Ethiopians don't have a direct bonus to their economy. However, they do get plus 100 food and 100 gold every time they advance to the next stage, which means you'll get a net of 300 gold and 300 food once you do reach the Imperial Age. However, in terms of actual impact, I don't know how good that is. You can technically go up quicker, maybe with less pop to get those town centers out earlier, but it really depends on the individual playing them, what build they decide to go with. I think I am going to put Ethiopians in C tier. And let's see. Next civ up is Franks, or the Throwing Axemen. And let's just take a look at their bonuses. Farm upgrades are free. Awesome. I love farm upgrades. Feel like they're very underrated. Foragers work 15% faster. Previously 25% faster. It was nerfed, but due to the fact that Franks have free farm upgrades, their farms last longer, and you don't need to reseed them as often. That means I would put them in B tier, just due to that early game bonus with the foragers and also the farm upgrades. I will even put them in A tier if the forage bush bonus was not nerfed, but for now I think they're firmly in B tier. Next civ up we have is the Goths. Now, Goths do not have an eco bonus in terms of a direct eco bonus. They have some passive bonuses. We'll take a look at here. So they do have the +5 attack and the +15 carry from hunting. Now that saves you maybe a couple seconds, maybe 3-4 seconds per boar from not having to shoot it that much. Probably, it's not that good. They also have Loom can research instantly. Usually that meant you'll be one villager up on everyone else, being that is research instantly. However, if you're booming, chances are you're not researching Loom because you're in a safe position to boom. Fortunately, I'm going to have to put Goths in F tier, even though they are my favorite civ. And I've boomed with Goths more than pretty much any other civ, and I know how terrible they are compared to something like Aztecs or even Burmese. Huns. Huns is a unique case. Let's get Tarkin here. And for Huns, I think they are incredibly strong. Not having to build houses is great. It saves you a ton of wood in the long run, but it's not something you reap from right away. You'll save you do start with -100 wood. However, one aspect that people don't think about is the villager time saved. One house takes 25 seconds to build. That's the same time it takes to create a villager. If you think about it that way, if you build 20 houses, 30 houses, 40 houses throughout a game, that's how much time you're saving times 25. That's pretty incredible in my opinion, and Huns always feel like a great civ to boom with, meaning that they save so much wood and villager time. And for that reason, I will put them in S tier, but I think I'm going to put them in A tier. because houses do cost less now. They used to cost 30 wood, but now they cost 25 wood, which means they're not as good as compared to before. Incans, or the Kamayuk. For Incans, they have two bonuses that apply to booming. One is that their houses support 10 population, so you do save about half as much wood as you would with a generic civ. They also start with one free llama. Now this civ, this bonus actually comes down to 100 free food. It helps you transition easier from it prevents bad scouting, but I think in DE nowadays you always start with 4 sheep within town center range. So whether this really plays a factor in the current meta doesn't really I'm not a big fan of it. I'm not a big fan of the civ when booming. However, they're not the worst. They do have an eco bonus, and for that reason I'm going to put them in D tier. Indians, or the elephant archer. Let's take a look. Okay, so for Indians, the big bonus that they have are villagers are staggered cheaper in Dark Age through Imperial Age. This bonus is insane. I think my record with Indians was like a 25-minute, 15-second Imperial Age time with 4 town centers. It was absolutely nuts. And I'm a big fan of this civ because I think the Imperial Camo is one of the strongest units in the game. I think more civs should have access to it, but that would probably ruin the balance of there's enough anti-cavalry in the game as is. But besides that, this bonus is absolutely bonkers. I think I'm confident putting them in S tier just because of how good it is. Think about it this way: when you're booming, you're doing a fast castle. You create 24 villagers, 25 villagers. Let's round up to 25, okay? 25 villagers, and you're saving 10% in the Dark Age. That means 25 times 5 times 0.9. Let's just or think about it this way: you're saving an average of 5 food per villager. 5 food per villager times the number of villagers you're creating, so that will come out to be 125 food. And you're thinking that's not all that great, but 125 food, and you're able to queue them up without the resources required of any other civ. You don't need 50 food in the bank, you only need 45, and it's staggered so that it gets even stronger in Feudal Age and Castle Age. In Castle Age, when you're creating them, you get a 20% bonus. So that 5 becomes 10. And now they only cost 40 food each. And you're creating 100 times, let's say you're creating 100 villagers in Castle Age, right? So you're saving an average of 10 per villager in Castle Age. 10 times 100, that's 1,000 food. That is absolutely nuts. 1,000 food in the Castle Age. And then when you're still booming into the early Imperial Age, it now costs 25% cheaper. 25% cheaper means that you're saving an average about 15 food each. 35 food, and you create another 50 or another 20, whatever it is. That's a lot of food saved. For that reason, I'm very content putting them in S tier because I think Indians are that good. Italians. Genoese crossbowmen. So let's take a look at their bonuses. Advancing to the next age is 15% cheaper. Awesome, but until you get there, it doesn't really help you, right? Sure, it's a bit cheaper. You get to the next age, a bit cheaper, a bit quicker. Maybe you could do a quicker uptime, and that's really about it. That's all you have here. The faster up. Sure, you could do a modified fast castle where you can advance with the low less vills. However, I don't think this really helps you during the actual booming process. They're not the worst either. I think if you do a modified fast castle, I feel content putting them in C tier. Just because you're able to get those town centers out quicker. Next civ, we have Japanese, or the samurai. Okay, the Japanese, they have mills, lumber camps, and mining camps for 50% cheaper. which means you save more wood and means you can have less on wood, you can have more on food. If you do a modified fast castle with Japanese, it's possible you're able to reach castle reach a bit quicker. Or if you do a standard fast castle, you have more wood saved up in the long run. But nowadays, everyone pushes deer. The build bonus isn't as special. And the lumber camps are great, though. I feel like that's one of my pet peeves when people don't replenish their lumber camps once it's too far. This bonus lets you go wild. You can drop a lumber camp whenever you want. In terms of actual booming, though, I don't think they're that great. I'm going to put them in D tier. I feel bad, but that's just my personal opinion. Now, Khmer, the ballista elephant. So, Khmer is incredibly special. I think they're one of my favorite booming civs, even if they aren't that good in terms of actual booming. If you do a standard 20, like a standard 27, 26 plus 2, what you're really supposed to do is a 28 plus 0, since you benefit from not having to build any buildings required, like a blacksmith or archery range or a market to advance to the next stage. That means you're potentially saving anywhere from 375 wood to 500 wood. It's actually very nice. It helps you out plenty, and everyone knows that their villagers don't need a drop-off site. So let me explain why this bonus is good. It means that typically when you have a regular civ, they need to drop off the food before you're able to access it. Since you're having a constant flow of food, you are able to queue up villagers more efficiently, more readily, since you won't have to wait for the drop off. You don't have to force drop off. You just let them go run wild. Khmer is, I think I have to put them in S tier. The wood you save, the farm bonus, just feels very natural to play, in my opinion. Koreans or the war wagon. Now, Koreans used to be one of the worst civs because their bonuses were incredibly horrible for the meta game. The one eco bonus they have, or let's say 2, villagers have 3 line of sight and stone miners work 20% faster. That means you get your sheep a bit quicker, I suppose. You're also able to mine stone quicker, which, unless you're going for a castle drop, it doesn't make much sense of why you would be mining stone for a boom. I don't have much to say about this civ. It's still terrible for booming. They're a little less terrible now. They have a couple of bonuses reduced in the expansions, meaning that they get archer armor for free and military units cost 20% less wood. So for that reason, I'm still going to put them in F tier. Sorry about that. Next up we have is Lithuanians. Lithuanians have 1 civ bonus, which is plus 150 food, and that means you're able to up to castle age, feudal age a bit quicker with less vills. You're able to but this bonus is a one-time bonus. It doesn't really apply after you use up all the food. For that reason, I'm just gonna put them in, I feel like D tier is appropriate for, or maybe I put them in C tier just because I did make an exception for these 2 civs for Ethiopians and Italians doing a modified fast castle build order. So if you're able to abuse that, then certainly. The next civ we have up is Magyars, and before you ask, I'm going to put them in F tier because they have no ego bonuses at all that are relevant to booming. Let me pull them up here. Thank you. And the reason why I put them in F tier is because these bonuses do not really help when you are booming. Free attack upgrades are nice, but why are you getting attack upgrades when you're booming? Killing wild animals, nice. If you're going for a forward wall, perhaps you're going to trudge someone, that's also very useful, but doesn't really help you at all when booming. The next civ is Malay. Malay, if you're doing a standard fast castle build order, they're not that good. However, if you do a modified feudal boom, like much like what Cumans would do, fast up with 19 or 20 pop, and then get you both of your economic upgrades in feudal age, and build about 10 to 14 villagers in feudal age, and then still advance on time with everyone else, I think they can be really strong. But that's contingent on doing the modified build order. Let's assume you do so. I will put them in B tier. It's because they do have a very strong economy going into Castle Age, same time as everyone else, being that they have an extra 3 or 4 villager lead compared to someone that did a 27 or 26 plus 2. Now, Malians. Let's look up at Malians. Malians, they have this bonus, which is buildings cost 50% less wood, and gold mining is free. Now, this does add up because some buildings do cost a bit more wood than others, like town centers, markets. Farms, unfortunately, don't benefit from this. So, and the gold mining, free gold mining is useful, even though it's not as good as Turks. I think for booming with Malians, I am going to put them in C tier because that wood save does really help, and the free gold mining certainly is a nice little bonus. It's you save more wood than Japanese do over the long run, and you save a couple of, maybe 100 food, 75 wood, or however much gold mining costs. It's just a very small bonus. Now, for the next civ, we have Mayans. Mayans have been nerfed to hell and back, and resources used to last 20% longer. Now they only last 15% longer. That usually, back then, it meant that your boars, your sheep, everything lasted 20% longer, or effectively you get 20% bonus to raw resources. So let's just say we have a boar which has 340 food. Let's round that down to 300 food because it rot. And so 20% of that used to be an extra 60 food. And nowadays it's 15%. So 15% of that is an extra 45 food. So while it's still very nice, it's not as good as it was before. There also used to be a quirk where Mayan farms worked much slower than everyone else's. They've changed that a little bit so that it's not as slow. It's only maybe like a couple percent slower. So for that reason, I am going to put Mayans in C tier. I think they can really benefit from having a strong early game bonus well, they do benefit from it, right? The 15% longer lasting resources. It's just not as good as it was before. Before, I probably would have put them in B tier. Mongols. Everyone's favorite civ. Or at least some of people's favorite civs. Their hunters work 50% faster. That means you're able to do an incredibly fast castle in about 13-14 minutes. I guess it really depends on whether you do the fast castle build or not. If you do, then it's probably B tier. If you don't, it's probably D tier. Let's just say D tier because chances are, if you do the fast castle build order, the ultra fast castle build order, you'll have a couple villager lead. Okay, I'm going to put in B tier, assuming that you do the extremely fast castle build order, just because I've seen it done and it is incredibly strong. If you don't, it's D tier. Let's just put it that way. Persians. So Persians benefit from starting the game with a couple few extra food and wood. Really helps, very nice. And town centers have double work rate and double HP, I'm sorry about that. And work rate is 10, 15, 20% faster. There used to be a 5% bonus in Dark Age, but it was nerfed. However, the faster work rate still is very nice. I think Persians have the opportunity to have incredibly strong boom. For that reason, I'm going to put them in B tier. If the 5% bonus still existed, I'd be happy putting them in A tier. Portuguese, or organ guns. So, Portuguese don't really have an eco bonus to say, other than older units cost 20% less gold, which means trade cards cost less gold, but it doesn't really help with booming. Oh, technologies are researched 30% faster. That means you're able to get to your economic upgrades a bit quicker than everyone else. However, whether that's practical or not, I'm not sure. This civ has always been traditionally one of the worst civs because of a lack of a true eco bonus. Before they got the 30% faster research, I would have been happy putting them in F tier. Now I'm leaning towards D tier because the faster research does apply to advance. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I think it does. No, I definitely not. Okay, so F tier or D tier. I don't think they're as horrible as these other civs, so I'm going to put them in D tier. Saracens, or the Mamluk. Saracens do not have an early game bonus. Maybe if you consider markets cost less wood, so you save 100 wood when you build your buildings. The main bonus that they have is the commodity trading fee at the market is 5%. That means you're able to efficiently buy food to advance your boom. However, you really shouldn't be using the market as a crutch. You should be able to balance your resources properly. For that reason, I am putting them in F tier. And Sicilians, one of the new civs. Sicilians benefit from town centers and castles being constructed twice as fast. That means in early castle age, you're able to get them up much quicker and start spending your resources on villagers. I've used Sicilians about 3 times now, and I've only boomed with them once, actually. They felt okay to use. Obviously, the Nomad Start bonus doesn't work anymore. I think in land maps where you're booming, this civ suffers from the lack of a true eco bonus. I'm going to put them in D tier because they do have a slight advantage going into Castle Age, but that really dissipates after you get the town centers out. Next civ we have is the Slavs, the Boyars. Slavs are incredible. Their farms work 10% faster. However, that's really a bonus that only kicks in late Dark Age, maybe early Feudal Age, or mid Castle. One of those stages of the game once you get out a lot of farms. However, they are still incredibly strong. The 10% used to be 15%, I believe, and it was bugged for a while, so it actually worked faster than the 15%. I'm going to put them in A tier because the farm bonus is that strong. It is incredible, actually. And remember what we said about chopping wood and turning them into farms? The ability to generate more food from farms certainly helps. And you have a very strong economy, and potentially you don't have to build as many farms as you do with another civ like Persians that typically want a lot of farmers. Spanish. Spanish don't really have an eco bonus. They do build buildings 30% faster, so that's kind of like a weaker version of the Sicilian bonus. I think Spanish are a very strong civ when fully boomed. Fortunately, the lack of a true eco bonus means that I would have to put them in... I feel bad putting them in F tier because I know how strong they are, but I think it's only fair. Or maybe I could put them in D tier because their bonus is just slightly weaker. Well, a lot weaker than the Sicilian bonus. However, it does help when you're building other buildings as well, such as when you're building houses, for example. You save a ton of time there. when you're building markets, when you're building your advancement buildings like university and monastery. So we'll give them that. Next civ we have up is Tatars. Let's look at their Tatar bonuses. Herbables plus 50% food. It's actually very underrated. So if you start with 800 food worth of sheep, that means you get an extra 400 until you utilize all of them. It's a pretty good bonus to me. You also have new town centers spawn 2 sheep starting in the Castle Age. So if you build anywhere from 2 to 3 more extra town centers, you get, let's say you build 3, that means you get 3 times 2, 6, or 600 food in Castle Age for free, technically. I think the civ is very underrated, but for actual booming, maybe I was too harsh on them. I'm leaning towards D tier, but I think I'd have to put them in C tier. And for Mayans, I'm actually going to bump them up to B tier, because I think I was a little bit harsh on them as well. The 15% is really strong, since it applies to everything. Gold mining, stone piles, wood cutting, so your trees are more efficient. I think that's a good place to put them. And looking back, perhaps Persians could be put in A tier as well. Okay, yeah, I'm comfortable with that. So for Teutons, one big bonus we have here is farms are 40% cheaper. And you know how much I like my farms and my woodcutting bonuses. So for that reason, I'm going to put them in A tier. I think the farm bonus is very strong. It's probably a little bit overtuned. It used to be 33%, but the devs thought it wasn't as good, so they bumped that up to 40%. I've used Teutons quite a few times now, and they always strike me as incredible late game power civ. And having a strong foundation, the cheaper farms really helps with getting to that point. Not spending as much resources as you would on houses or farms. It means that you're able to allocate them elsewhere. Turks. So the Turk bonus is 20% faster gold mining. And we can take a look at that here. And this bonus was mocked for a long time. It's the reason why it's not that good in Arabia or other maps, as a lack of true eco bonus. However, nowadays I think with the buff to CA, Turks are seeing a little bit more play. They're not as hated as much. The gold mining certainly helps. I will put them in D tier just because it is a bonus that can be exploited. Don't have to mine as much gold as you would with another civ. So they're not quite as bad as the tiers down here in F tier. Vietnamese, or the Rattan Archer. So their eco bonus is economic upgrades cost no wood, and that is actually pretty strong. It's very good when you're considering the fact that all the eco upgrades cost wood, and not having to spend wood on them means you're able to build more farms, you're able to build more production buildings, you're able to expand outwards a little bit quicker than another civ would. For that reason, Vietnamese have always felt very strong to me. I'm going to put them in... Should I put them in C tier or B tier? I will put them in B tier just because of how much resources that they save. And the last civ needs no introduction. It is the namesake of my Twitch channel. Everyone knows they're going in S tier. There's no doubt about it. Okay, I think that's everything. Wow. All right. So thank you so much for watching. This video was quite a bit of fun to do. I hope I explained. Maybe I didn't explain as much as I would have, but I didn't want to make a 30-minute video either. I hope this gives you insight into what makes a civ good at booming and what makes it bad. And if you have any questions, any complaints, any suggestions, what you would rank them as, please feel free to leave a comment below. I'll try to read it, and I'll most likely try to respond to you as soon as I do. Thanks again, and peace out.